to second week of spring. I'm so happy to see so many of you, some smiling, some maybe not. So let's see how this spring has been. It's fantastic. On Friday, new announcements. There were none. Yes, you have optional ones to have more flexibility in your movement, in your days, to have some Pilates, yoga, or otherwise. But overall, we are continuing in spring. Depending on what you chose, if you're in Hunter Spring, having fun with the meats, or Gather Spring, only being plant-based, or Traditional Spring, enjoying everything what spring has to offer. As most important is for these check-in calls, make sure your name is properly pronounced. That is not just iPhone or iPad 7 or something like that. Also, make sure your cameras are on for check-ins, and in the bottom of the screen, you have reactions. So from there, you will find your raise your hand so we know who to speak to. And please, don't be wary about if your question is valid or not. They all are, because somebody might have the similar question. They don't even know that yet. So it's important to ask them, and then others can get an answer as well. Also, what's important about this, as Eric talks about, we are digging in a tunnel, and some of you might be already seeing the light. Others might feeling the claustrophobia from the tunnel walls trying to collapse in. So it's important to share that inspiration, to share that it is possible, that the light is there, so that the others have more inspiration and motivation to keep on digging to get out of this prison camp. And if you are having challenges, come share, let's hassle them out. But most importantly, we start with the positive, because there are wins, I'm certain of that. And as Eric has mentioned many times, be the Sherlock Holmes of progress. Notice those small details. Even if you're using the keto sticks or spring sticks and you're not seeing the being in ketosis, but you're feeling great, then that's already amazing. I measure my ketones from my blood. I still, based on the numbers, I'm not in ketosis, but I'm feeling amazing. I see my scale number going down. I am great. Even though my blood measurement shows that I'm not in ketosis, it doesn't really matter. It's how you feel that matters. I'm already feeling looser. I have more energy. And that's what spring brings to me. Even though I have done spring many times, every time it sometimes surprises me how much better I feel in spring. So I hope that you can do as well. And if you're not yet, then know that it's just around the corner. Maybe you have some speed bumps, maybe some side effects. Those are just signs that things are progressing in the right direction. So stay on the course, choose. And most importantly, don't feel restricted. Spring is not restricted. We are not forbidding anything. In WildFit, we talk about freedom of choice. And I hope you choose to be on this journey. You choose to follow through and enjoy all these amazing discoveries that can come from here. So I think we have Eric on us with us as well. Eric, are you ready?
Of course I am.
Perfect.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you. Thank you. Well said. Well done. How are we all? Can you guys give me a traditional check-in? 2 up, 1 of each, 1 up, 1 down, 2 down, anything else? It looks like all ups right now. That is so amazing. I just want to check in on a few things. How many of you have already started to experience significant, let's say, temporal changes? What I mean is you can see that your future is different. How many of you are feeling that feeling? And that there is what it's all about. So with that, let's open up the mics and I want to find out what's going on. I want to remind you, we start with wins, we start with blessings, and then from there we move on to questions, curiosities, and potentially challenges. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to start off with Tanny Ray and Jonathan.
Hi there.
Hi, I believe I got us unmuted. Welcome from Seattle.
Nice to see you again.
Nice seeing you again. So we're doing a Hunter Spring, and I'm releasing almost a pound a day right now in Hunter Spring, and my blood sugar levels are lower now than they've probably been in a decade. So all those good indicators. My question is around energy. I have not experienced, in fact, I'm almost might be on the other side of my energy levels have not perked up. But so other indicators are I'm doing the right thing.
You're
except
doing
for
the right
that
thing. Hang
energy
in there.
thing.
Like, don't worry about it at the moment. Just make sure you're sleeping well, you're hydrating, following the rules. If you're releasing weight at that, yeah, I just want you to imagine how much work is going into that. As you release that weight, your skin has to adjust, your immune system has to adjust, circulatory system has to adjust, and the toxins that are in the fat have to be cleansed out, and that takes energy and what have you. And just hang in there. I have every confidence. Now, there are some things you might be able to do to spur it along a little. The one is forcing it. And what I mean by that is I want you to imagine that, you and I are out there in the bush 20,000 years ago, and we're feeling a little low energy. Well, we would not be able to just go, yeah, I don't feel like hunting and gathering today. Listen, you know what? Let's do Netflix. Like, that just wasn't an option, right? And so the remember that men, I mean, women are to some degree too, but men are energy conservationists. I mean, we really are. Women would call it lazy, but it's not lazy. We're energy conservationists.
Yeah.
And so we prefer to do big, fast things occasionally, where women very often like to do pottering little things on a regular basis. It's a different type of energy entirely. And so the weird thing about that is that if you are sedentary, you will activate that laziness and so on. Whereas if you say, I'm going to absolutely push through and go for a stiff walk up the hill, I'm going to make myself sweat a little, then your body will become more, let's say, it'll recognize that the demands for energy are more important, and it's more likely to unlock that energy for you. But I would, at this stage, all that means is maybe a little resistance work, maybe going for a little bit of a walk with some stairs or a hill or something like that, a little faster than you normally would if you want. And otherwise, just take it easy. You're going to turn that corner.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, one more question here.
Hi.
Hello.
I am dropping, I'm melting belly fat finally. And that's
Nice.
happiness, and I have no more reflux, which is wonderful.
That's a game changer right there.
Now I'm working on no more CPAP. And if that happens, I'm going to be sending you roses.
I love it.
My question is, if we're still talking about the energy thing, because I'm not quite as energetic as I used to be either, but I'm still pushing through. I'm swimming and walking and everything. But if we're still drinking coffee, like a cup a day or 2 cups a day in the morning, is that going to, significantly screw us up? Or is it like 90% is better than, 10%?
All right. Listen carefully. I have some thoughts.
Okay.
So first one is that in the previous WildFit challenge, we actually had people stop taking caffeine as part of the challenge. And many people were unbelievably grateful for that experience and so on. In this version of the program, we made that decision optional. And there were many reasons for it. And one of the reasons we could do it is that drinking caffeine or drinking coffee does not interfere with WildFit Spring. So, it's like we couldn't do the same thing with alcohol, because if people drink alcohol, then they break Spring. So it doesn't work that way. So in the sense of the healing you're going through, the releasing of fat, the resetting of your metabolism, continuing to have the coffee is not going to mess that up for you. That said, you release your weight when you're sleeping.
Right.
That's when your body goes and gets it, right? And converts it. So if you're having, say, 2 cups of coffee of the day, I'm telling you right now, you're not sleeping very well. You might think you are, you might feel like you are, but the truth is you're not. And what it means is that your quality of sleep is going to probably be affected, even if your quantity isn't. And so, yeah, that might have an effect. But at the same time, caffeine has an effect of speeding up people's weight release. So to me, at the end of the day, I don't really, it's your call. Now, finally, I'll say this. If you need coffee, it's using you. And you never want to be the usee. You want to be the user. And that's just the way it is. So, I think you guys have probably heard me say this before. I gave up caffeine 35 years ago. I don't use it, except that occasionally I do. And a really good example of this is my life with caffeine, just so you understand. When I use it, I don't use coffee, incidentally, but I'll have a chai tea or even a hot cacao, knowing that it has caffeine in it. When I have caffeine, I become superhuman. I mean, I can tell you it. I'm certain I'm at least an inch and a half taller. I blow up with energy. I become like obnoxiously optimistic about everything. It's almost like I'm taking a drug, or oh, I am taking a drug. But the difference is that because I never do it, my body responds wonderfully to it. Then the next level is, wow, that felt really good. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Still felt pretty good, but not quite as good. Then the next day, still felt good, but not as good as yesterday. Pretty soon, I have to have it to feel normal. And anyone who's at the stage of, I have to have it to feel normal, should be pissed off because your body's been manipulated in order to addict you to a substance. That's my only thought long term. So for me, I got off a plane, landed in Toronto, Canada. I'd flown from across the world on last minute notice because I'd been invited to go on the Jordan Peterson podcast. So I flew over. I got there. I was a little like jet laggy, a little dehydrated from the flight, woke up with a headache. Not a common occurrence for me, but I know that caffeine immediately solves that headache. So I'm like, oh, shoot. And I'm low energy anyway. And I got to go do this podcast. And I thought, all right, I haven't done this in months, but today's the day. I look on Google Earth and I see the closest place to get one is 800 meters away. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll go for a light jog and then I'll go get it. So I jog there. And then I'm like, you know what? I'll go a little further. It's a nice day and I'll pick it up on the way back. And then I ran further. I came and I got there and I was about to walk in and I realized I no longer had the headache. And my energy was fantastic because I had done exactly what I just said to you guys. I had forced myself to hunt and gather and I'd improved my circulation and I didn't have caffeine that day. Now, I will tell you, more recently, I was in Estonia about 3 weeks ago, and I had one of my rare hot cacaos, and I was superhuman for the afternoon. It was super fun. But I will tell you, it works when you only use it like not even once a month. If you need to have it every day, I suggest it's worth recalibrating a relationship. That said, at this stage of the program, being on it or off it, in some ways it can help, in some ways it can hurt. Your choice.
One more level of confession then. What if we put a little hemp milk and a little bit of cocoa and like a mocha into it? Is the adding the sugar going to derail us?
Absolutely, without question. And I don't know why you'd want to drip mucousy, pus-filled cow substances.
No,
in.
hemp milk.
Oh, good. Hemp milk. I thought you said cow milk. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
God, no.
No.
I'm a more learned student than that.
All right. I'm sorry, I misheard. No, a little hemp milk, unsweetened, not going to be a problem. The minute you add a sweetener, it's not ideal. Now, look, in the traditional keto world, the ideal math says that as long as you eat less than 25 grams of carbohydrates, you can stay in ketosis. I have never used that rule in my life. I am either in spring or I'm not in spring. I just get that. And the reason being is that measurements like that they're flawed in every possible way. Is it 25 grams throughout the day? Is it 25 grams in a single sitting? Is it 25 grams of refined sugar versus honey? I don't give a shit. No. So what I'm saying is if you're adding sugar to it, you are in that moment going to have to produce some insulin, which is going to minimally pause your spring experience, maybe for an hour, maybe for a day. Now, if releasing weight isn't the highest priority, your call. But if releasing weight and resetting your metabolism is really important, then I wouldn't do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And concise as usual. Appreciate it.
I don't know if anybody's ever called me concise before, but I'll take it. Thanks very much.
All right, we have Anand.
Oh, that's right.
Hello,
Last
Anand.
time he talked to you. Oh, mute us.
I can't see.
All
it.
right. Hello, Eric. This is my
Hello there.
third year being at WildFit, and my win is that after 3 years that I've been here with practicing the principles, I have not fallen sick. And I have a toddler, and he has grown into he was a baby, grown into a toddler. Used to bring all sorts of things to home. Prior to WildFit, I used to fall sick pretty much every season. Now, all seasons, all year, not fallen sick. It tells me a little bit about my gut health. So I seek some insight, as much of insight that you can bring into me with your study of human body and all the, wild fitness and things like that. So talking of gut health, what I noticed was when I had alkalizers or insane amount of what do you call green leafy vegetables, I kind of encountered some form of inflammation stomach inflammation, my spleen was damp, and I noticed that repetitive pattern before I concluded that it was affecting my gut health, or rather, repetitive inflammation. So when I did my blood work, I also noticed some patterns in my report. My SHBG was a little lower, and I attributed that to the excessive fiber in my diet because of the alkalizer and the green leafy vegetables. That's one part. So the second part
Wait,
was
your SHBG was lower? I'm sorry if I remember.
no,
That's
no,
actually
it is higher, whatever
okay. You
is
said lower. I was like, that's what you want.
no, higher. So
Okay, okay.
and so which means and the other part is that my energy levels were also low.
And what were your testosterone levels like?
They were kind of in the above normal, but not
Give me the number. Give me the number if you don't mind.
about 400. It used to be 650 or something.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
So the other part is the energy levels were lower, and now I'm kind of caught up. At one end I have my gut health, or I'm not falling sick, which tells me my gut health is fine. But on the other hand, I have inflammation going on, and which is causing me my energy levels to go down. So where am I getting stuck here? What's going wrong? And my
Okay.
diet, by the way, is mostly vegetarian, and I'm practicing the regular spring.
Okay. Ironically, your question is built into your final statement. It is really, really tough to balance hormones and to balance your metabolism properly on a plant-based diet. It's just, humans have never done that before, and it's a new experiment that we're running, and it really is difficult. I would guess that if you've got a bunch of inflammation markers at this point, there are a number of things that could cause that, of course. Stress is a big one, by the way. I will tell you, I recently had the full bank of blood tests done, and my inflammation markers they weren't high. They still told me I was in the top 1% of all markers across the whole category, but I did have a slightly elevated inflammation markers. But I have been under a level of stress in my personal life, and just some I'll simply say hell hath no fury. And I've just been going through some difficulties. And so that's affected my sleep and so on. And that absolutely can affect your inflammation markers. If it's not stress, then it could be environmental things like mold in your house or that kind of thing. If it's not those things, it's plants. Plants cause inflammation, even the best. They just do. An animal will, if it's alive, it will do everything it can to injure you to stop you from eating it. A plant will also do everything it can to injure you to stop you from eating it. And so the difference is the plant tries to injure you out here, the animal tries to injure you out here, the plant tries to injure you in there. And so the plants are a major problem in that respect. And that's why it's very important that we have a seasonal relationship with plants, that we don't eat any one plant so regularly that the toxins build up too heavily. And the other one is that we should actually take a break from plants from time to time entirely. And go on elimination diets or seasonal rotation diets. So I would have to suggest that. And incidentally, I am 55 and my T numbers are 955. So, by the way, everybody has their own home place. Some people at 9, like the doctor was telling me, the number itself on its own basis isn't the only measurement. Some men, you, for example, at 955, you might be aggressive and you might not like that feeling in your body. It's weird. It's not that it's right or wrong, but I'm telling you that it strikes me that some pounding leg exercises would be unbelievably good for you because it would raise your T numbers, which would probably raise your energy levels. And I'm sorry, you're not going to like the idea very much, but the other one is good quality animal proteins and aminos and fats. And that's going to drive a better response. And then if you really, really you want to run an experiment that'll likely change your life, you switch into Hunter Spring for 2 weeks, and I'm telling you, your inflammation will go down. And I know that's unpalatable for you. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just telling you my opinion.
So when you say amino, you mean to suggest some fatty fish probably, and then maybe some chicken breasts, things like that.
Those things could certainly help. But what I'm talking about is that you see, one of the challenges with English, and I can't speak for other languages, is that we tend to use words in a non-productive way. So people go, oh, I need to get my protein. Oh, there's protein in legumes. No, there isn't. Not like that. You see, proteins are simply complex molecules, and you have tons of them. Insulin is a protein, right? What you really want are the building blocks that create proteins, and those building blocks are amino acids. And there is no plant on Earth that carries all the amino acids you need, not one. It doesn't exist. Whereas a piece of fish, a piece of chicken, a piece of meat does have all of them naturally, because the animals go and connect them all, and then we get to have them. And so, what I mean by amino acids is making sure that you're getting all of them. And plant-based, it's tougher to do that. I also would want you to take a look at, have you looked at your B12 numbers?
Yeah, they're well, yeah, slightly, yeah, normal minus.
Normal minus. You would like them to be, and by the way, here's a tough thing too.
Why did you ask that? Why did
These
you ask
things,
B12?
energy.
Okay.
Energy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. And also it's, but here's the thing. Remember also that all of these numbers are measured on population averages.
Yeah.
So they come along and go, hey, you're slightly this and that. But what if the overall population is low? Then they tell you, well, you're averaging slightly. No, that's not necessarily the best marker. So I would want to look to see that you get your B12s up. What about D?
D is perfect.
Good deal. That's excellent. That's very.
And by the way, rest all the numbers are just perfect.
Yeah, well then, then I would take a look at if you're concerned about, if you're concerned a little bit with inflammation and the SPGH, which is related to that, then what I would suggest then is look at your environment. Are there molds that might be irritating you? Look at your stress. Are you doing some good meditations and deep breathing to regulate your system better? And if you're doing all that correctly, then look at the plants, because you have an immune response to plants. It's not to say they're bad, but not taking a break from them from time to time or eating the same ones on a regular basis, not good.
Tell me about this pounding that you said. What do you mean by that? Pounding legs, what did you say?
I mean, you go to the gym and you make your legs fail.
Okay.
You go, like I'll tell you, you go to the gym on legs day, that's one thing. When I go to the gym, every day is legs day. I don't care what day I'm really having. I could be having chest day. I walk over to the leg press machine and I do heavy, heavy, heavy legs. And then I go and do the right. And why do I do that? Legs, all muscles, but because the leg muscles are so big, the legs and glutes, they drive testosterone production like crazy. And, it kind of makes sense when you consider what you do with those leg muscles and your glutes, right? They're meant to be giving you that testosterone drop. So I go into the gym, I go straight to the leg press machine. I do some very heavy squats. I produce a bunch of testosterone and I'm able to hit the rest of my workout harder, right? At least I feel that way. So, and so I would suggest that you step up your leg exercises in a big way, try to lift that T number up a little, then look at what might be causing inflammation. And sadly, I'm going to suggest that a break from plants might be useful.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Great stuff.
All right, we are going to Debbie.
Hello, Debbie.
Hi.
How are you?
I just wanted to say that I'm trying Hunter Spring for the first time since I joined, and
deal.
I am loving it.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it feels like a game changer. It's we were talking to Coach Michelle yesterday, and I think it's a combination of I love meat and fish
helps.
and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I like a nice salad too, but the simplicity of it, and I'm not stressing over what I'm going to eat and prepare. And my husband is so easy. I just cook him a potato and some carrots, and he's good to go with whatever I'm eating. But yeah, no, it's great. I just really am enjoying it. The first couple of weeks of this Wilder Body, I wasn't kind of into it. I couldn't get going. I was trying to follow along, but then when it came, make a decision, what are you doing? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do Hunter Spring. And then it just kind of it fell into place. It really fell into place. So
you're feeling good.
Yeah, feeling good. And I'm not sleeping 100% better, but I'm not not that I don't, I go ahead.
You'll almost certainly sleep less.
Yes.
But and this is a very important thing to know, you'll almost certainly sleep a little less, and but you'll sleep really well. but your mind will say, yeah, but I'm not normally up at 5. Therefore,
Mhm.
I must be tired. And you're like, no, actually, no, just get up and go for a walk. Like when you're eating something that requires quite a lot of energy to process, but at the end of the day, it is the most nutritionally full available food ever. There's barely any waste produced from it at all. And so your metabolism sets into this mode. And so very often you just don't need the same level of sleep.
Yeah, like I'll go to bed. I feel like I'm tired. I'll go to bed and I'll be in there for like an hour or so, and then I get up and and all that. But
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. I got up this morning and I was like, okay, but I'm not tired. I'm good. So good lamb liver for supper last night. It was fabulous. So
Nice.
anyway, I just wanted to say, like, I'm just like gobsmacked that, and you've been telling us, but didn't listen. But anyway, it's perfect. Thank you very much, and
You're welcome.
onward and upward.
Keep going. Well done. Stay wild.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, we have Svetlana.
Hello, Svetlana. Hello.
Do you see
Hello.
There we go.
Finally, yes. Okay. So the win is that I almost don't have cravings. In fact, I don't have cravings. That's the win, because my problem was not eating wrong foods. My problem was eating too much of good foods, which kind of I was just chewing. I had this craving to constantly chew on something. And now I don't have this
That's
craving.
cool.
Yes, but the question I have is, and I don't want, just I understand it's a community, but I just want to make sure I need to clear this up. I'm reading now, and it may be just a marketing or something. Sea salt and Himalayan salt tested for heavy metals like lead. So just want to know your opinion. I know it could be micro doses or something, and that's something which I'm facing now. And I switched to Himalayan salt, and I am enjoying it. But they say some Himalayan salts, not all of them, tested for lead. So again, that's the information I received. Can you help me?
Listen, this is a really tough situation that we're in right now. If you want likes and views on social media, you have to say inflammatory things. It's just the way it works. If you simply go on there and say nice things all the time, you'll get a few likes and what have you. But if you want millions and millions of followers, you have to go out there and you have to say stuff that scares people, that angers people, that frightens people. So this is a major thing that's happening at the moment. Is all of these people are going out on Instagram and in the main media, by the way. So and even if we're not on social media, our friends are hearing it. And it just becomes this thing. So the deal is that if you can find something to frighten people with, they'll take better action, just the way it is. So I can tell you right now, kale, that's terrible. It's full of, it's cruciferous. It's meat. Yeah, there was a study that says meat has all this stuff and it causes cancer, and dairy products. And then water. I mean, water, you don't want to have water. You don't want to, the air you're breathing. You got to be careful about the air you're breathing. And you definitely want to make sure that the salt you have doesn't have those heavy metals in it. And then you got to make sure. Now, the trouble is that every great lie is built on a foundation of truth. And so, yeah, we do have to be careful about heavy metals, and we do have to be careful about them. But what we have to be more careful of is fear mongering, what was way more like dangerous to us. And then the other thing is, here's the other issue: is your body needs what it needs. So let's say, for example, you're in a restaurant, you're with friends, and the only thing on the menu that fits the season you're in is lamb, and somebody scared you with something that there might be a trace amounts of mercury in the lamb. But in that moment, you also do need the amino acids and the fats and things that are in that lamb. So what I would suggest is don't have the lamb every day, but maybe you have it today because you need to have it. So, I'm saying that we all need to become our own practical, guys, You got to do your research. And I know it's crazy because during the pandemic, you know, the ideologues told us that you can't do your own research. Only scientists can do research. Really? Do I need a scientist to help me buy my car? I'm going to do some research before I buy my car. Well, I figure I can do some research about the food that I'm eating. And so, yeah, if you're really worried, then you can do that. And by the way, with AI these days, it's easier than ever. You can literally walk up to a food item in the grocery store, take a picture of it, upload it to ChatGPT and tell me, hey, is it likely that this has, you know, food, heavy metals in it? And it'll know. And you know, it's not right all the time, but it'll give you a good enough indication. So we don't have to live in fear. We do have to satisfy our nutritional needs. And we have to know that people are spreading fear and misinformation because it suits their political purpose, or it gets them likes, or it helps them sell their product, or whatever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Svetlana.
All right, we're going to Cheryl.
Hello, Cheryl. You were unmuted, but then you're muted again.
How's that? Am I unmuted now, Eric?
Yep,
I can
you're
hear you.
good.
Okay, great. I'm going to read you my question so that it's concise. I have a slight brain injury, so I just want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Sure.
Oh dear. And I had it right there. I'm sorry. See, this is why Leanne Morgan Sands, my great coach, I didn't want to do this because I knew there'd be a
I'm glad she talked you
problem.
into it.
Okay. My question is about irritable bowel and severe constipation, which I've suffered all my life. I'm 74. Every possible remedy has been attempted with no satisfactory results unless I take copious amounts of laxative, which I am loath to do. Since my first WildFit adventure in 2024, the magnesium suggestion has been a revelation and works wonders. However, I must take an average of 11 tablets a day to maintain regularity and ease. My GP is concerned that is too much magnesium in my system, and I don't enjoy the difficulty I have of taking that many in a day. Currently, I'm using 7 a day, and that is helping but not eliminating the discomfort. Please know I drink a minimum of 100 ounces of water per day, with 1 to 2 14-ounce cups of dandelion tea as well. Unfortunately, I'm quite sedentary due to traumatic brain injury. So this manifests in a lot of symptoms, but the most severe is extreme dizziness upon movement. So I'm not able to move around much. So I'm led to believe that too much magnesium may also create dizziness, and I don't need any more dizziness than I already have. Any suggestions?
Which spring are you in?
No, regular spring. I thought I'd do Hunter, however, I don't think, given my situation, I can manage that. So
You mean the logistics of preparation and what have you?
yeah, and
Okay.
plus it would create more issues, wouldn't it? More bowel issues?
No, I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so at all. I want to, you know, I want to be cautious. I mean, I'm not going to give you medical advice. I don't know for sure what is causing your digestive challenges and what have you, but anecdotally, I can tell you that for over 10 years, I've received dozens and dozens of letters from people telling me, hey, my irritable bowel is over, my intestines are working. Even one woman who's taking 4, you think taking like 7 magnesiums is bad. Imagine this woman having to take 4 Imodiums a day.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Because I was like that before. I
We-
will say that
and
all
what
that
changed
has-
that?
I had severe diarrhea. All that other stuff is cleared up with regard to the irritable bowel.
Okay,
It's the
but I'm trying to get
constipation
what
that has.
I'm with you. Hold on. What changed that got that moved you in that direction? What changed?
Oh, WildFit. Definitely WildFit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a digestive component to that. So all right,
Yeah.
that said, what I want to suggest to you is that every organism wants to find a way to not get consumed, right? With the exception of some fruits. Fruits kind of want to be consumed, but then they want to pass through you very, very quickly because they want to propagate. They want to become a seed and they want to become a plant. Everything else is fighting. Now, a bison fights with its horns and its size and its speed and strength and what have you, and it can really damage you. I mean, you try and hunt a bison, I challenge you. It's, you know, you think about the mammoth hunters. Many people died hunting their mammoths, right? Like it was a dangerous game. They didn't have guns. And it was a different world back then. Now, what you need to understand is that the same level of force, the same desire to not be consumed exists in a plant. The difference is that the plant takes the battle to you internally. Some plants turn bitter when they realize that they're being eaten. They change and they become bitter, like the acacia trees, and other plants produce hormone blockers and hormone triggers that are designed to convolute the digestive process and mess things up, and lectins and so on. And so plants defend themselves as hard inside you as a elephant defends itself outside you. And so the difficulty with this is that if you are eating plants on a regular basis, it means that you are regularly assaulting that internal system. Now, because the assault is biochemical, eating a plant on a given day doesn't usually cause a problem unless you're sensitive to that plant. Like some people immediately react to gluten right away. Other people, they don't immediately react. And that's why they don't notice the reaction, because they don't know what caused it, because it took a few months to create it, right? So what I'm suggesting is that minimally what people should be doing is eating plants for short seasonal bursts and then switching to a different set of plants. Minimally, you should be doing that to give your system the chance to recover from the damage done by the plants, even good plants. Then the next version is to focus on, having a reduced relationship with New World plants. That is to say, plants that come from the Americas. They're not good for us. They're just not. We can handle old world plants pretty well. We can definitely handle most African edible plants, Middle Eastern, and even Southern European are pretty good. But the minute we start getting into new world plants, we have problems. And they include tomatoes and eggplants, potatoes, and the like. We're just not very good at them. Nightshades, we're not good at that. So your minimum position is eliminate the old world plants as best you can, focus on new world plants, and eat them seasonally. But if you really, really want to fix the problem, then I would suggest you switch to Hunter Spring and you do that for at least 3 weeks. And I'd be shocked if you didn't have a marked improvement. But one caveat to that is you may still think that you're constipated, but it's because you're not. Because when you eat meat, you barely produce any poop at all. Your body uses 99% of it. So there's very little waste that's produced. So those are the two options that I would present to you. And I would suggest that on either of those options, you would likely be able to reduce your magnesium intake. On the Hunter Spring one, you'd be able to probably reduce it down to 2 pills a day. And you'd still want to take those pills until you felt like you brought your magnesium numbers up to good level, but and then you might be able to stop.
So am I hearing you say that it could possibly be the plants that, because I'm doing all the right things, just green plants, and
I'm sorry,
it could be
plants are defending themselves just like animals. They are. They're just doing it inside you, and they fight you. They don't want you to eat them.
So if I go on the Hunter, then how many magnesium a day should I take?
What I would do is I would just start scaling it down. And if you find the only reasons that I would say for taking magnesium would be if you are genuinely constipated. I can tell you right now, you switch to Hunter Spring, there'll be a day or two where you're either a little bit runny or a little bit constipated, one way or the other, depending on how your body's reacting to it. But after 3 days, maximum a week, your body will start to stabilize its digestion and you'll be fine. You might not need the magnesium for digestive purpose at all. Maybe you still take some for sleep or to stop stomach or to stop leg cramps or something like that. But, I only now in my life, take magnesium when symptoms present. I don't, and the only symptoms that I ever get relative to that are sometimes I get leg cramps if I go too far without, especially if I bring in a lot of the cruciferous vegetables and stuff, and I go, oh crap, I did it again.
Oh crap, that would be great.
Well, but I can tell you on Hunter Spring, a whole lot less crap.
Okay,
You know,
I will try it.
I'm going to make a terrible joke about this, but I saw this vegan magazine once talking about this scientific study that showed that people that are vegan, you know, they poop a lot more than people who don't. Well, that's because they're full of shit. Now, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But in a literal sense, that's what's going on, is that when you eat a piece of broccoli, you have to poop most of it out. You just have to. When you eat a ribeye steak, you use almost all of it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, vegans. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. All right, who's up next?
Thank
Hopefully-
you.
You're welcome.
We have JP.
Hello, JP.
Hello,
JP,
Eric. How's
I'm
it
going to say
going?
this. Are you looking a little thinner?
Might be.
I think so. Like from the
yeah.
call from week one. You're
Well,
anyway.
well, let me tell this story.
All right.
Yeah, you wanted to win, and I actually don't have a question, but I have this win that I have to tell
Hear
you.
the win.
I was just last weekend. I had a gig as I work as a magician. I had a gig up in Rovaniemi in Lapland, and it's like 7 or 8 hour, no, 10 hours drive from where I live. So I had to drive there on Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, I had gigs, and then after that, I drove back. First of all, I managed to plan that so that I actually had like good food with me. Yeah,
You had actual food.
So yeah, an actual food. I just like had some steaks and I sliced them up, and I was eating those cold when I was driving, but that was perfect. And we are still having quite cold climate outside, so I didn't need a fridge. Car was okay for them. But then I was there on a gig, and I end up with a trick that I climb inside a balloon. The balloon is like 180 centimeters wide. I blow it up, and then I go there head first, and then I go with my arms. And before the show, I had done all the checkings that I need to do to make that trick happen. And then I go down to the waistline, and I was pushing the balloon down, and it's quite tight. Of course, the neck of the balloon, it's like 10, 15 centimeters wide after I spread it. And then I spread it, going down. And then I realized what I didn't check was my belt. My belt was in the normal place where it should be when I'm performing. And when I pushed the balloon down, also my pants went down. So now I'm inside a balloon. The balloon is on my ankles. And I realized that my pants are below my knees inside the balloon. And I started
JP,
to pull them
you gotta
up.
tell. A super important question. Tell me somebody got this on an iPhone.
I don't know if they have it because the people don't see it at this point. But then I started to struggle. I need to get all the way inside the balloon, and it's still on my ankles. And all of a sudden, I was just trying to get my trousers up, and then the balloon popped. So there I was suddenly in front of 500 kids on a stage, kneeling down. I still had the neck of the balloon around my ankles, and trousers were down, and I was like making this surprise face that, oh my God, what happened? And I decided that, okay, I'm gonna run backstage and pull my trousers up. I turned around, I tried to run, but then the neck of the balloon is still tying my ankles. So I fell down on the floor. But
So
yeah, that was interesting.
You turned a super cool magic trick for kids into a bizarre BDSM display.
Yeah, you can say that. You could say that.
Now,
well, the kids didn't know what's gonna happen or what should happen, so I managed to play it out as a joke. But the organizer
JP,
that I'm working with,
JP,
they were laughing.
Check this out. Well done. By the way, some of you guys remember, I think in week 1, JP and I had a talk. Can anybody see? I'm not talking about the thinness in here because it's happening. Can anybody see any other changes in JP? Anyone else? Yeah, you're back. This is the JP that I remember from way back, and I'm so happy to see you brimming with energy, brimming with health, and I'm super glad that your pants don't fit properly anymore. I'm super excited to see how things continue to go over the next couple of weeks. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm loving the Hunter Spring really much.
Good job. Well done. Thanks, JP.
Thanks.
Really great to see you again.
Okay, bye.
All right, Meredith. You're not driving, right?
Oh, sorry. Ooh, how do I?
You're here. Oh, you were.
Oh, you gotta unmute again. There you
Okay,
go.
I was doing too much. No, I'm not driving right now. Oh my God, JP, that story, I'm dead, but that is amazing. Congratulations. I am having all kinds of interesting stuff happening on the win side. Definitely with everything that I have going on, my energy is still stabilizing and good. My waistline is going down. I haven't weighed myself because I want to do that. I don't know. Are we supposed to do that now? I don't remember. One thing that has
Only
happened with, yeah.
and let me answer that, Meredith.
Mhm.
Only if you really want to, and you can do it without emotional charge. Otherwise, don't bother.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just on a call. Okay, sorry about that. I'm in Montreal, so people come, they just come and talk. What was I gonna say? Yes, so I was feeling so good that I went to the gym and I did a pretty solid workout with my long COVID, which I haven't been able to do for a while, and I've been trying to be moderate. And I had a really big day after that, cooked a hunter with a little bit of traditional spring at dinner at night with my kids. And then the next day I didn't feel fatigued, which I usually would. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to the gym again. And I went, and it was amazing. And I was able to push even harder. And then throughout the day, I had a lot of stuff going on. And then all of a sudden I hit a wall. And it's at that point that I realized, and people have been telling me this for a while, I have POTS and MCAS2, which is mast cell activation. And so for instance, yesterday when this was 2 days ago. So yesterday was a recovery day. And when I was in my chair, my resting heart rate was 66, which is still high for me, but okay. And then when I got up and went to wipe the stainless steel of the refrigerator down, it shot up to 123. I don't know. I mean, I guess that this whole process is for cellular healing, but if you had any advice or conseil, en français, conseil for that, that would be amazing.
All I can
Thank you.
say is that no matter what the injury, disease, or genetic condition is, the process that we're going through right now is going to support the body in the very best recovery that it can, which in some cases will, mean that things don't need to be medically treated. And in other cases, it'll mean that it'll support the medical treatment. And that's all I can say. Like you're
Got it.
doing the right things, and you're giving your body the resources and the energy and the tools and so forth that it needs to facilitate your recovery. That's the best I can say.
Okay. I went back into, thank you. I went back into traditional spring because I thought I was going to go somewhere where there was only a vegan diet. And what I
Right.
understood was that you don't want to go completely from hunter to completely vegetable. So I switched. However, that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. Can I just switch back to hunter spring? I'm going to assume yes, but checking in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you so
Cheers, Meredith.
much.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
All right, Chris, let's go to you.
Hello, Chris.
Hi. Okay, so Meredith, I think you answered my question. It's about jumping into Hunter Spring because I had so much fear around it. It just seemed like such a big event or something big to do. But is this something that I can try? Because I clearly suffer from all the inflammation from vegetables. But it brainwashed myself to think that I need it. Make sense?
Why?
I don't know, I'm crazy. It's like, conditioning, whatever. But I hear, my coach has been amazing because she's doing Hunter Spring, and there's, some of my team members are on and they seem so much far ahead of me, and I have such FOMO and fear. I'm like, well, if you're inflamed from the vegetables and I'm learning that they're causing the problem, why am I afraid to just let them rest for a while like everything else, right?
Do you know, there are, okay. Do you know how humans got to North America the first time? I'm not talking about this whole Columbus fiasco. I'm talking about the original.
Yeah, I'm on the Cape, right up the street, Plymouth, Massachusetts, sure.
No. I'm not talking. No, I'm talking the first humans.
Like
I'm
the
not
Viking?
No, before the Vikings, even before
Native
that.
Americans?
Yeah, how did they get there?
I have no idea.
They're not from there. They're not indigenous. They're
Really?
no.
And they're not Native Americans.
Well, I mean, if you're born in America, you're a Native American.
Well,
In
I don't
medical
know if you've seen what's going on here lately. I don't know
Yeah.
about that. Hot
terms.
mess. Sorry.
But the word indigenous in a scientific sense, I know today we have a political correctness version of it, but indigenous means that you're originally from that place. So
Mhm.
humans are indigenous to only one continent, and that's Africa. And then we moved
Oh,
to Africa,
right.
and we moved around the planet. And so everywhere else, the word aboriginal might be more appropriate. But you know, that the reason I mention this to you is the question is, how did they get there? Well, they got there by slowly migrating out of Africa and then through Europe and through Asia, and then crossing all the way across Asia, and then getting all through, Russia, and then crossing over the Bering Strait. And so there was a land bridge there, Beringa, and they crossed it. Now, I want you to imagine that it's thousands of miles. So how long would it have taken for people to cross that bridge? I mean, a long time.
Years.
It's thousands of
Yeah,
miles. It would
right.
taken years, right? There are no plants up there.
Right.
So what did they do?
Ate
They ate
animals
fish and meat and blubber and
for years, for months.
Okay, now, Chris, now I'm going to blow your mind. If you're ready, are you ready? They did not hike there. They expanded there.
Right.
He did not put on a backpack and say, let's go to Alaska. They were pushed there by the growth of humanity. It didn't take them months or years to cross that bridge. It took them generations. And so generations of humans crossing into North America had no real access to plants at all. And so I want you to understand, I happen to believe that plants are good for us, but non-essential. There's a very big difference between things that are essential and things that could be serving you. Sunlight is essential.
Yeah.
Water is essential. There are 9 essential amino acids. There's another 11, but you make many of them yourself, and you know whatever. But the ones that you have to eat, they're essential. You got to get them. There are 13 essential vitamins, 13 essential minerals. These things are essential. And so what I want to put to you is that we have plenty of cases where humans have gone generations at a time without having access to plants at all, and they've been just fine, proving they're non-essential. That does not mean that they're not beneficial. It just means they're non-essential. And so what I want to put to you is that given that they're non-essential, you could take a break from them for a little while and everything might be okay.
Okay, Cheryl and Meredith, I'm joining the team. Let's do this.
All right, well done.
All right,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
we had this little chat.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, Barbara, you're up.
Hello, Barbara.
Hello, Eric. Gosh, it's just so nice to be here. I'm a 2020 grad.
Oh, wow,
I
good
re-
deal. What a great
I
year to
re-
do this program.
Yeah, right in COVID. I had just graduated with my master's and it was just an amazing time. But I
Okay.
released 65 pounds and I lived
Stop
this
it.
program. Oh shit, what happened?
No, 65 pounds. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
no,
the rest
I
of you.
lost you on the screen.
Oh, did you? I'm here. But just for the rest of you, I want to put this in perspective for you. Of course, that's about 30 kilograms or something. But what it really is the maximum weight a bag can be taken on the plane.
Yeah. And
Just to
my
put it in
husband, yeah.
perspective for you.
My
Well done.
husband would always be saying carrying around like a couple bowling balls. Yeah, that's crazy. And but
Oh, you must
unfortunately,
feel fantastic.
I'm gonna tell you, I put a lot of it back. So
Oh, let's talk.
and it was recently. So I lost my mom a year ago, and I used Netflix and food, and apple pie was my gateway.
Yeah.
So and I will tell you that I'm
Nothing more
struggling with.
American than apple pie, even if
Yeah,
apples
well,
come from Kazakhstan.
because
But anyway.
apples was like, oh, fruit, and then maybe just a little, trying to find the best apple pie and make, whatever. It's a bunch of bullshit, like I
Yeah.
just, I'm going to tell you, I'm a recovered alcoholic, 18 years, and basically food has became my drug. And I saw that clearly. in this last year and a half, that like how you've come
How
up this
much,
time.
how much of the weight did you put back on?
I put it all back on, but I put it all back on. I put it all back on. Yeah.
Like all 60? Wow, that's
All
an
of it. I
accomplishment.
put 30 and then 30. I put
All right.
30 and then I put another 30.
All right. So
And
Barbara,
just-
there's something
Yep.
super valuable, two very super valuable things I want to share with you about this. And I want, the one is too late, but I want everybody to hear it. When times get difficult, like a bereavement,
Mhm.
the inclination is to go to crutch foods and emotional foods and what have you. The irony is that those foods make you feel bad.
Yeah.
And so now you've had a life event that's making you feel bad, and then you're eating foods that are making you feel bad, which perpetuates the cycle of grief and perpetuates the comfort food eating. And that is the problem. So for the rest of our lives, the one time to be perfect about food is when times are difficult. I lost my dad a little more than a year ago, and I am grateful because I was in a very firm cycle of hunter spring, fasting, short time in fall, hunter spring, fasting, short time in fall. I want to tell you, like, I was flying all over the world, and my dad passed away, and it was like one of the most stressful times ever. Thank God that I had that right, because the Eric of 20 years ago would have been eating Cinnabon and all that other kind of whatever crunch foods there were. So that's the first thing I want you to hear. The second thing, Barbara, is kind of specific to you. I am not a recovering alcoholic. I am a 35-year preventative alcoholic. I stopped drinking 35 years ago to not become one. So, but my dad was recovering alcoholic, my brother, my family. And I have had a phenomenal amount of experience with people dealing with alcoholism coming through this program. And I want you to hear something really interesting about this. The addiction to alcohol is actually an addiction to sugar.
Yeah, I believe that.
It is. Now, I know the psychotropic effects of alcohol are habitually addictive as well, the social comfort and whatever else, and the numbing and the, whatever. But the problem is that a recovering alcoholic will often have an unhealthy relationship with sugar because they're sort of half-assing the addiction. They're like, well, I've gotten rid of one form of sugar, that's the alcohol.
Yeah.
So what really happened to you, in a sense, is you kind of had a relapse, if you get me.
That's
It just didn't
exactly
involve
right.
alcohol. So
No
this
doubt.
time around, what you really want to do is recognize that sugar, and like in a very real sense, it's not that you don't drink alcohol, it's that you don't do refined sugar, because it's the same thing.
It's so, like, even when I've done these, the different seasons, even that little trace of sugar in something will trigger me to, oh, now I'm craving something that I no longer had craved for such a long time. So somebody asked before, what if you just put a little bit in? For me, a little bit in, it's like the first drink. There's no way that I'm
One
going
is
to
too
be
many?
obsessing over. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. 1,000's never enough. That's right. So I
The
also
great news for you is that you know all of this relative to alcohol. So all you have to do is move corn syrup and refined sugar into that same category. You just got to move it to that same category, and then you never have to have that experience again.
Yeah,
Like,
and
for you, by the way,
there was things I was never gonna drink again or eat again. Like, I had things off that and they came back. Like I couldn't believe they came back.
Right, but you know what didn't come back? Alcohol.
Well, yeah.
But so what I'm trying to do is show you the victory, right?
Yeah,
The victory is that, many people, by the way, if you go and look up the reasons for people relapsing with alcohol, bereavement's like right up there, top 3. Right?
Yeah.
So you would have been perfectly justified to crack open a bottle and begin the whole process again.
Yeah.
But you didn't, right? And all I'm asking is that you have a category that is absolutely out of your identity. The other category was, I don't do this. And what I'm saying is, your job now on this program is to move refined sugar, corn syrup, and that kind of stuff over into the same category that you have alcohol in. And that is, it is not my identity.
Not even. Okay.
I'm going to say something a little jarring, a little shocking, but the path back to alcohol often begins with sugar. It does. It's like you talk about one is not enough. Well, look, we all know this, right? Cunning, baffling, dishonest, powerful. So here's what's going on. Isn't it true that the minute you started eating sugar, you started lying to yourself?
Yeah.
And isn't it true that you stopped being honest with yourself?
Yeah, and I'm still struggling. And I'm
That-
still struggling. And
So
let me
that's
tell
why
you,
what
it's
I'm,
easier. It was so much easier the first time in the 2020. Now to do it, it's like coming back from a relapse. It's hard.
yeah,
So
it
like
is.
I,
It is. But what I'm suggesting to you here is that if you begin to recognize that you actually have the thought forms and you have the experience and you have the values and beliefs that are going to support you on this, you're just currently only applying them to alcohol. So let's figure out how to tie them. One way to tie them is logically, the way we've just tied them, but now let's
yep.
tie them emotionally. Cunning, baffling, powerful. That is sugar, right? We think of it as alcohol, but it's sugar. So here's the deal. When you're not having sugar at all and you're not having alcohol, you are fundamentally more honest with yourself. Is that a fair statement? So
Yes.
the slippery slope is, you know what? I'm going through this horrible thing. A cookie wouldn't be a problem. I mean, a cookie's not a bottle of gin, right? I mean, like I'm going to be fine with a cookie. But in that moment, is there some party that you're like, yeah, you know, it's going to be more than one cookie.
Yeah.
And at that point, the cunning, baffling, manipulative, dishonest stuff begins. And your self-trust is starting to go and your self-esteem is starting to go. And every single day you live like that, you're moving one step closer to a drink. So if you can attach
I
that
agree.
ship to the
Yeah.
alcohol ship, you'll put the same rock wall up and you won't let it happen again.
One of the things that I get all of everything what you're saying. One of the things that talks me out of a lot of this stuff is the variety, and I really hit home because I'm a Hunter Spring. I was first of all I was a vegetarian when I came in, like for animal rights. So you took me from a vegetarian. I go out and I buy a cow, I buy a pig, because I'm really care about animals, and I'm not going to buy stuff from the store
That's
and
right.
like you said, our money, we vote with our money. So, I make sure I, really, value what I'm doing. So, but again, I realized that variety for me, when you did that last video, when you talked about, well, when they were out hunting, they didn't go out and get this. And, for some reason, I've heard you say that before, but this last video I watched just changed. It's like I'm this privileged white woman thinking that like God, won't you give me this? Like, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's like what I think I need. And it's really not making me happy. Like you said, it's feeding into the systems that the conditioning that we were raised with, that is just
Yeah.
absolutely bizarre.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just trying to work on that a little bit. I just on another thing with the cholesterol that made so much sense, the last call with the cholesterol, because I had a really high cholesterol too.
That's
When
okay. Don't
I
get in. Don't, I
yeah,
don't even like,
so
I don't want anybody worrying about cholesterol. Like, just stop it. It's like, honest to goodness, they've been lying to us about cholesterol for years. Just let it go. Cholesterol is fundamentally important for your natural production of your hormones that you need. They've been convincing us that you need to artificially reduce your cholesterol numbers by
yeah.
taking drugs. Don't worry about that, in my opinion.
I don't even really like going to the doctors anymore. I'd rather hop on a call and listen to you than I would like really I totally really feel, especially when you talked about the medication the other day. I thought that was so spot on. So
Barbara,
yeah,
you need to know about doctors. This is really like, this is so important to know. And there are doctors on this call right now. You need to know every class has doctors in it. We now have many doctors that have gone through our coaching
yeah,
certification
yeah,
training. And so I want you to know something about doctors. Fundamentally, they have big hearts and a desire to help. They would not have invested that. You have any idea how hard it is to become a doctor? They wouldn't have done it, but their education got hijacked by the pharmaceutical industry. It's not
yeah.
their
You
fault.
said that, yes,
And
yeah,
so I really want you to get like, there are good doctors out there. And I want you to never forget that if it wasn't for doctors, I mean, can you imagine us without trauma medicine at this point in our lives? People have
yeah,
accidents,
no,
need
yeah,
to have them. What we shouldn't really be doing, or what we should be doing, is living lifestyles that prevent us from requiring
that's right,
medical assistance with
that's
lifestyle
right,
diseases.
that's
That's
right,
what we got to avoid.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
that's right on. Just quickly, I'm on Hunter Spring. I've released 10 pounds so far, so I'm on my
Nice.
way. I could jog up and down the stairs now. Feel so much lighter. I'm struggling eating. I'm eating. I'm struggling sleeping. I had a cup of tea yesterday. I tried to have a tea or two. Again, I don't normally drink tea, but and I tried to drink the Rooibos, without
Yep.
any caffeine in it, like the stuff that.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm just struggling sleeping in general, I think. So you gave
Is it, if you had to guess, is it more that your body's not tired or that your brain is not tired?
my brain. And I just came back from a 7-day retreat where I sat on a cushion for 10 hours a day for 7 days. So that helped totally, because I'm really big into meditation. And
all right. So what I want to suggest is that that in order to sleep really well, you have to have the right environment, cool room, no light, all that traditional stuff. Then you need to be both physically and mentally tired. That's the tricky thing. If you're not mentally tired, then your mind is going to pop up all over the place. And if you're not
it's my mind.
tired, then you're going to be fidgety. So what that means is you want to make sure that you do enough physical exertion in the day that you're genuinely tired, that your body is like looking forward to the bed. Then in terms of the nighttime stuff, no screens for 2 hours. Stop that. Like, no, none of that. They pushes the blue light into you. It tells you it's still daylight and it messes your biochemistry. Instead, read a book, meditate, begin the going to sleep process 2 hours before you go to sleep. I even have the lights in our house program that they cut by about 50% at about 8 o'clock in the evening. So the whole house starts getting dark. And so you want to really create sleep ritual. And I bet you'll see some improvement. But remember, on Hunter Spring, you won't need as much probably.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're a goddess. You're a god, Eric. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks
you.
very much.
Really.
All right.
Take care.
Hey, everybody. I am so excited for you all. This is, the stories we're hearing are incredible. I'm just loving it so much. And I have a question. Who here would like a old school legacy WildFit t-shirt with the Evolution logo on it? The old one. Anybody want one of those? Collector's item? All right. So here's the deal. Fundamental to your motivation is progress. Fundamental to your motivation is progress. And so very often people come into our programs and they have a singular focus. They have a singular focus. I want to lose weight. I want to get rid of this symptom. I want to get rid of my inflammation, whatever the case might be. And when they focus only on that one thing, and that one thing doesn't move fast enough for them, they start to lose motivation, and it's easier at that point to give into some temptation or give into the food devil or what have you. So I want you to become, as I've said to you before, the Sherlock Holmes of progress, or what your coach might refer to as non-scale victories. These are victories that have nothing to do with your body weight. It could be your body size. It could be your sex drive. It could be your sleep. It could be your hair. It could be your eyesight. It could be any number of things. It could be the reduction in cravings, increased sense of food control, and what have you. So I want you to start thinking about that. In fact, while I'm talking, I would like you to tell me what some of your WildFit wins are in the chat right now. What are some of your WildFit wins that are maybe not specifically related to your primary goals, or whatever they are? So here we go. No cravings, sleeping better, zero cravings, happiness, no gout. Let's see here. Better sleep. Oh, I can't keep thyroid numbers have improved. No cravings, no aches and pains, sleep, freedom from bra extenders, sugar from, like, holy cow. These are wins. And just watch this. How many of you, you're already motivated? I know, but how many of you, as you write yours or read others, you feel a little jolt of motivation? Like, this is who feels that? And that's why we want to constantly think about your WildFit wins. And so if you would like a old legacy WildFit t-shirt with the Evolution print on it, I'm going to be giving a few away. And here's how I'm going to find out who to give them to. I'm going to be, and my team is going to be scanning social media, looking for the hashtag WildFitWins. And this does not mean you have to go out and promote WildFit. You don't have to go, I'm on this program. I don't even want you to do that. I simply want you to say things like, I am feeling this. And then just quietly in the bottom, hashtag WildFitWins. Not a big promotion. I don't even want you to, you can if you want to. If you want to tell your WildFit story, whatever, you can do that if you like. But what I'd like you to do is simply hashtag WildFitWins. And if you're working with a coach, maybe tag them in the post so that they can jump on there and share some love and answer questions for people. But if you're sleeping better, you just go, best night's sleep ever, hashtag WildFitWins. Cravings totally managed, hashtag WildFitWins. I will be looking for those and announcing some shirt giveaways on the next live call. So go make it happen. In the meantime, stay wild, have fun, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
The best.
Thank you.
Okay.